Are we seriously going to pretend that what just happened on Smackdown between Naomi and Nia Jax was just another routine wrestling match? Because if that's what you're thinking, then you haven't been paying attention. What we witnessed wasn't just a misstep or an unfortunate incident, it was a full-blown disaster that exposed everything still broken, neglected, and shamefully swept under the rug when it comes to how WWE treats its female superstars, especially those like Naomi who've clawed and fought for every shred of recognition in a system that has repeatedly failed them. And before anyone dismisses this as over-the-top or exaggerated, let me stop you right there, because what went down in that ring wasn't just about athletic competition, it was a crystal-clear demonstration of systemic failure. This was the kind of moment that doesn't just damage a career, it humiliates a human being in front of millions of viewers across the world, and the worst part is, it could have all been prevented. Naomi, a performer who has spent years refining her craft, perfecting her in-ring skills, and consistently showing up as one of the most electrifying talents in WWE's women's division, was thrown under the bus in a way that should outrage anyone who claims to care about the integrity of the sport and the dignity of its athletes. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time she's been pushed into situations that reek of sabotage masked as opportunity. She's been set up to fail, booked into awkward storylines, shuffled in and out of TV time, and now, forced to endure a match so chaotic and cruel that it turned into a public spectacle for all the wrong reasons. What Naomi endured in that ring went beyond physical struggle, it was a psychological war zone. She wasn't just fighting Nia Jax, one of the most physically dominant competitors in the division, she was also battling something far more treacherous, her own wrestling gear failing her live in front of an international audience. Imagine putting your entire life into your craft, sacrificing time, health, and personal peace to achieve excellence, only to be betrayed not by your lack of preparation but by the equipment provided to you by the very company that claims to support you. This wasn't just embarrassing, it was dehumanizing. And instead of stopping the match, instead of stepping in, WWE allowed it to unfold, allowed the cameras to keep rolling, and allowed one of their own to suffer for the sake of live TV drama. Naomi didn't just have to keep performing, she had to battle the panic, the anxiety, the sense of vulnerability that comes with knowing you're being exposed, literally and figuratively, while millions watch in real time. That takes more strength than most people will ever understand. But strength should never be a substitute for basic protection and respect. And it didn't stop with the malfunction. What made this even worse was the environment Naomi had to work in, one where she's expected to maintain composure, execute flawless moves, and deliver a championship-level performance, all while knowing her body might be exposed at any moment due to no fault of her own. That's not professional wrestling, that's exploitation disguised as entertainment. And while Naomi was grappling with her gear and trying to maintain dignity, she also had to deal with the brute force of Nia Jax, a powerhouse whose dominance in the ring is no joke. Even under normal conditions, facing Nia Jax would be a test of resilience. But doing so while trying to hide a wardrobe malfunction? That's not just unfair, it's psychologically torturous. And yet, Naomi kept going. That alone speaks volumes about her character. She didn't break down, didn't storm out, didn't quit. She stayed in the ring and fought through a nightmare scenario. And while many fans and critics have praised her poise, we need to be honest, she shouldn't have had to be that strong in the first place. She shouldn't have had to endure that. She should have had reliable gear. She should have had support. She should have been given every resource to succeed, not set up to fail. What's worse is how the incident was handled afterward. Instead of immediately addressing the issue, instead of issuing a statement, WWE remained largely silent, as if hoping the moment would pass and fade into another forgettable headline. But fans didn't forget. Viral videos exploded across social media. Comment sections filled with outrage, sympathy, disbelief. Wrestling pundits discussed it, some hesitantly, others with righteous fury. But still, where was the formal apology? Where were the policy changes? Where was the assurance that this would never happen again? Naomi's humiliating moment became a symbol, a tragic, infuriating example of what happens when an industry fails to protect its performers. And this goes deeper than one match or one superstar. This is about an industry culture that still hasn't figured out how to properly support, outfit, and respect its women. When was the last time a male superstar had to worry about their gear failing so catastrophically that it became the story of the match? When was the last time a male wrestler had to juggle high-impact moves and camera angles while worrying about preserving their modesty? The answer is almost never. And that speaks volumes about the double standards that persist within the business. Naomi's performance was overshadowed by a failure that wasn't hers, and that's the injustice here. She didn't make a mistake. She didn't slip up. She was betrayed by inadequate gear, a lack of preparation from the wardrobe department, and a system that clearly didn't prioritize her comfort or security. The fact that she managed to still deliver under those circumstances is a miracle, but again, it shouldn't have been necessary. The conversation now needs to move beyond sympathy and into solutions. Better gear testing, mandatory quality checks before live matches, dedicated staff responsible for wardrobe reliability, and stronger backstage protocols for addressing emergencies like this. These are not luxuries. These are necessities. No performer, male or female, should have to wonder whether their outfit is going to hold up during the most physically intense moments of their career. That's not just a safety issue, it's a human rights issue. And as for Naomi, she deserves more than praise. She deserves justice. She deserves to know that what happened to her won't happen again, to her or to anyone else. She's not just a veteran of the women's division. She's a role model, a trailblazer, a performer who has consistently shown up with energy, charisma, and unmatched athleticism. And yet, instead of celebrating her talent, we're talking about a malfunction that never should have happened. And that's heartbreaking. But Naomi's story isn't over. If anything, it's entering a new chapter. One where her resilience isn't just admired, it sparks reform. Where her ordeal becomes the catalyst for industry-wide change. Because if WWE truly wants to evolve, it has to start treating its female athletes with the same care and caution it offers the men. No more double standards. No more neglect. No more excuses. What happened on Smackdown was not just a bad night. It was a warning siren, and it better be heard. Because if the wrestling world doesn't learn from Naomi's suffering, then what's the point of calling this progress? And if you're reading this and still think it was just a wardrobe issue, then you're missing the point entirely. This was a human moment. A painful one. A public one. And it matters. Not just for Naomi.